Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. Ooh, it's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at jif.com.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
I had been praying, man, almost the same thing for months. And it was just like, Lord, like the answer is yes. I just need to know what the question is. And in that moment, as I was writing that, my pen stops and the Lord says, why do you think I brought you here? Like audibly, it's only happened one time in my life. He says, why do you think I brought you here? And then my pen stops and I write this prayer. And as I go through the prayer, one of the things I say is, Lord, whether you use me in Denton, that was one of the towns closest to us in Texas that we had a campus at. I said, whether you use me in Denton or Haiti or anywhere in between, the answer is yes. I just need to know what the question is, right?
Welcome to Real Man Talk, discussing the tough issues facing men and their families every day. Here's Anthony Curnutt and Carla Sau.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Real Man Talk. Today, I am so excited. I've got such a special guest for you guys to hear from. His name is Sean Moore from the Hands and Feet Project, and he is a director over at Haiti, and he's been a missionary for a long time. He'll tell you the backstory, but if anybody was listening to Audio Adrenaline back in the 90s and stuff, they started this missionary project called the Hands and Feet Project, and this is what he does. And so we're so excited to have him on. Sean, how are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great. It's been a long time coming. Excited to be here with you, man.
Man, we have been it has been a journey just to connect.
It has, you know, multiple states and time zones in between, but we finally made it happen.
We finally made it happen. And I'm so thankful for your patience and for your willingness to be on here. And I'm sure that the people who will listen to this podcast will definitely enjoy this podcast. And so, Sean, let's start off. Everybody who listens to the podcast, they know my favorite question. Tell us your story.
Yeah, man. I've got a pretty traditional growing up. I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Mom, dad, sister. 2.5 dogs, a couple goldfish, pretty normal growing up, nothing fancy. I remember kind of later time in elementary school when church became something for my parents, right? Like there was a switch in them. But it was always something they did, always something, we grew up Baptist, we were in church once they got a hold of my parents, we were there, 8 days a week type thing. But it was always something they did and they drugged me to, right? And so grew up that way, ended up moving to Texas and got into all of Texas life and football and riding bulls. And, everybody's like, oh, you guys ride horses to school. No, man, no, we live in the suburb. No horses to school. Nothing like that. But play all that forward, typical high school, involved in youth and young life. And went through college and involved in college ministries and things like that. And grew up with the foundation with the Lord. Just thankful for my parents and the foundation that they set with that. But I would say it was always something in my head, right? And not to say that I didn't believe it, but it was really a cerebral thing. Like, hey, this is what we're supposed to do. You read your devotion and you pray before dinner and you do the things that you're supposed to do and the things you're not supposed to do, right? And so ended up in college marrying my high school sweetheart. We got together the summer before our senior year. we've now, this year will be 22 years married. I think we're at 26 or 27 together. So that's
awesome.
that's
congratulations.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that. I don't feel that old, but here we are. We've got 4 kiddos, 2 bio, 2 adopted, 1 in college, 2 in high school, 1 in elementary school. So adoption is a big part of our story and what we believe that God adopted us and how that plays out in our family and stuff. So that's a big important piece to us.
Let's go. Amen.
But as I think about my faith journey, man, I skip ahead kind of through marriage and through some of the early kid time life, and that's where Haiti got involved in my life, because the Lord used Haiti to draw me to Himself. And so, jump ahead. I had a buddy. He started a CrossFit gym back when CrossFit was the new thing, and no one knew what it was. And my buddy's like, "Hey, I'm doing this. You want to come?" It was free. Why would I not want to, right? So jump in and doing that, and we had a really, really small group, but it was a really core group, and the lead pastor from my church was in that group. And again, I went to church. My family went to church. We gave a $20 in the plate here and there, and we were involved. But again, it was just something that I knew I was supposed to do, not much more than that. And so play that out in 2010. There was the massive earthquake in Haiti, right? And
right.
So kind of leading up to that point, I joke now that, my pastor, he discipled me. We're like working out, and he's like, "Hey, man, let's stick around after, one day and like read a book or just have a talk." And I'm like, "All right, man, whatever, cool. I don't care. Let's hang out. No big deal." And so play all that forward, man. We're a year in, 2 years in, and this earthquake happens. And he gets together with our church and a bunch of other churches from around the country. And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to Haiti, and we're going to check this out. And there's going to be an opportunity for you to go later on in the summer." And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." Kind of blew it off, really. Didn't put a whole lot of, meat with that. And so play that out a couple months. And I'm sitting at home on a Sunday night, and a buddy texted me, and he said, "Hey, I signed us up to go to Haiti." And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." Just traditional mission trip, 8 days. At the time I was working for my father-in-law's construction company. My brother-in-law went on this mission trip. Man, I don't think we raised any money. Honestly, I think the construction company paid for us to go, and I just kind of ended up in Haiti. Like, no prayer, no thought. I was just like, "Well, man, I heard about this thing on the news. It sounds really terrible. I guess I can go do something, right? Let's go check this out." And so, man, I find myself in Haiti, and not really sure how I got there, right? Like, it's a little surreal. And
it's crazy.
And I remember landing, and so we're probably 4 or 5 months post quake, land in Port-au-Prince, and you basically land, you jump out of the plane, get onto the tarmac, and they usher you into a barn, which is immigration control, right? Get your passport stamped, and you walk in, and your luggage is just stacked in a pile, and you're like, "Okay, cool. I guess we're digging our bags out." Okay, we dig our bags out, and it was real dark in there, just some natural light in the room. Man, it's weird just telling this story. I feel like I'm there right now. And it's real dark in there, and you see the exit, and it's weird. It's kind of like a movie scene, right? Like, you're all black, but then out in front of you is light, and the light shining through, right? And so as you get towards the light, there's 2 Marines standing there. They're like, "Hey, once you guys leave, you guys are on your own." And we're like, "Okay, cool." But you can't see what's outside yet, right?
Right.
So we walk through that double doorway and into a fully enclosed cage. Think like old school, like WWF cage match, right? Except I'm on the inside, right? And surrounding the cage is just, it felt like a million people, right? It might have been 20, but it felt like a million, right? And I'm in the cage, right? Like, I'm the tiger at the zoo, right? And everybody, it's just like this overwhelming, just like, what is happening? And I just remember in that moment going, "Dude, this is really cool." Like, a couple guys are like freaking out, like our guy in charge can't find our driver and all this stuff. And the whole time I'm just like, "Okay, this is how it's going to be. All right, here we go."
Yeah.
So
Oh man. So let me, I'm trying to make sure I get this picture right. So you're in a cage and there's just people everywhere on the outside of this.
Yeah.
They're native there to
Yeah.
Haiti.
Yeah.
Wow.
Trying to get the opportunity to carry your bag and, hey man, carry my bag, give me, get a tip or, looking for other resources. Hey, like I still can't find my family members. Help. It's just like, I mean, we're still, a few months post quake. Like this is still very much a disaster situation. Right. And here, I'm not military. I'm not medical. Like that's not me. I'm just this guy that was dumb enough to say he'll go on a mission trip to Haiti. Right. So here we go. Yeah. So we ended up finding our ride and go about our business and go about our week. And we're supposed to be working at a church/school that has basically lost their security. Everything in Haiti's walled. It's how you protect your land and control all the things, right? And so we're supposed to be there redoing the wall. And you've got myself and a whole bunch of other guys that are just, hardworking, good old Texas boys, construction experience, and just hands-on, thick fences and do what you need to do, right? And man, we, looking back now that I've worked in the mission field for a long time and within the local church, I say now that I really wasted a majority of that week because I was so frustrated that we weren't just doing it our way. Like Haitian construction guys, if y'all would just move out of the way, we could fix this and be done and go home and go do something else, right? Our rebar showed up for the job site in a nest. This was used rebar that showed up in a bird's nest, and this dude straightens it out. And another guy used it. Another dude straightens it out, right? Well, the whole time in our American mindset, I'm going, why don't we just go buy some new rebar and get going, right?
Right.
But in the moment, I'm just frustrated going, man, why don't you guys do it our way, right?
Right.
So we're moving along the week and just the whole time, and it was just this building frustration. The random part of the story, me and my buddies kind of got lost in Port-au-Prince. We had to go pick somebody up, and we're like, hey, we'll just walk around and go find them. Man, I've been working there a long time. I would not say that's a good idea. You would definitely not do that today. And so, but it was this sense of like, I'm not saying that was smart. I'm just saying it was weird that in these situations, like I was just filled with peace and awe. There was just this sense of like, this is cool. This is where I'm supposed to be. So play that week out a little bit. And the guy who had actually texted me and signed me up to go on the trip, he pulls me aside and says, hey man, I want to let you know I'm not going home. I was like, what do you mean, man? So because our church and other churches had come together to kind of create a collaborative to get some work done, they had trips back to back, right, throughout the summer. Yeah. And he was like, hey, man, I'm going to stick around for another week or two, and I just felt like I was supposed to tell you. And I was like, okay. And I was like, maybe I'll stick around too. All right, cool. So I kind of pulled myself away and. Man, it's almost like I could take you there now, man. I crawl up on the only set of stairs that were still intact at this church school building, and I'm kind of looking over this area in Port-au-Prince. We're kind of high up, and I'm looking down. I turn my cell phone on. This is back when I had a BlackBerry, right? Right. So turn on the old BlackBerry.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yep. So I call my wife, and as soon as I hear her voice, man, I cry like I haven't cried before, man. And of course, my wife's freaking out, like. Man, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? I'm like, no, I'm okay. Let me gather myself. And I just tell her, I said, I don't think I'm supposed to come home. I think the Lord wants me here. And she says, well, if the Lord wants you in Haiti, I'm not bringing you home. Now, in our life and in our relationship at that time, like this was not a normal conversation for us, right? We're still punching our Sunday morning ticket. And just kind of doing the normal American thing, right? It's not bad. It's good, right? That's what we do here, right? Yeah. And so, man, it was just like, okay, something's happening here, right? I said, well, we had just brought, our daughter was 6 months. She's adopted, so she's home. Got my son's a young little elementary school kid running around the house, driving her crazy. And she's pregnant with our other son. So her answer should have been, oh, man. No, you need to get your butt home. I need some help, right? Right. But for her just to go, no, if the Lord wants you in Haiti, I'm not bringing you home. Right. And that's why I say, like, this is a new growth for all of us at this time that we don't even see at the time. And so I was like, all right, I'm staying. I'm not really sure when I'm coming home, but as I figure out plans, I'll get back to you. And she was like, all right, cool. End of conversation. I was working for my father-in-law in our metal panel construction company at the time, and I call him and I just say, hey, times are a little slow at work. I'm not coming home. I said, take me off payroll. You can save the money, and I'll call a couple guys, get a couple things taken care of, and save on payroll for a couple weeks. I'll see you in a few weeks. And he was like, are you asking or telling? I'm like, I'll see you in a few weeks, and hung up. You know? And
yeah.
And so there we are. I'm in Haiti, and we were in Port-au-Prince at the time. And and here's the other thing too. When I got signed up to go on this trip, I had never been out of America other than my honeymoon. I was the guy that was like, people are like, hey, let's go on a mission trip, or let's travel overseas. And I was like, man, I haven't even been to the Grand Canyon. I'll just hang out here in America. Like, that's fine with me, right? And so, man, hey, the Lord used Haiti to open my eyes to the world. And so as we leave Port-au-Prince for that first week, we move out to a town, and we stay at this little beachside hotel. It's called the Sunny Bell Resort. Man, I could take you there today if it was safe. And as I was saying, how my pastor was strict discipling me, he was challenging me to read some books and do some things in prayer. And I had been praying, man, almost the same thing for months. And it was just like, Lord, like, the answer is yes. I just need to know what the question is. And in that moment, as I was writing that, my pen stops, and the Lord says, why do you think I brought you here? Like, audibly, it's only happened one time in my life. He says, why do you think I brought you here? And then my pen stops, and I write this prayer. And as I go through the prayer, one of the things I say is, Lord, whether you use me in Denton, that was one of the towns closest to us in Texas that we had a campus at. I said, whether you use me in Denton or Haiti or anywhere in between, the answer is yes. I just need to know what the question is, right? Go about that. Boom. Yeah. Close my journal. We go about the day. End up spending about another 2.5 weeks in Haiti. So what was supposed to be a week turned into about a 3-week trip. And I came home and told my wife, I said, hey, we're moving to Haiti. You can just imagine how that went, right?
Yeah.
So, really don't know what that means other than, hey, this is what God told me. Cool, here we go. And so, as I said, the Lord was using Haiti to turn my heart to him. And so, man, I start volunteering in 5th grade Sunday school at our church.
Hey, it's Paris. You know, I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
I like my kids, but I'm not your kids minister. That's not who you want me to be, right?
Yeah.
And so, man, I just this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm showing up every Sunday, hanging out with these little punks, and one day this guy's like, hey man, let's go grab some lunch. I say, okay, cool. He's on church staff and whatnot, so we go have lunch, man, and it was a really long lunch, like 2+ hours. Yeah. So I get home and I tell him, and she's like, hey, how was lunch? I was like, man, it was really weird. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, it was like long. It was like felt like 3 hours. Like, it was long. And she was like, okay, that's a little weird. And I was like, I think they offered me a job. And she was like, well, like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of like, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Hey, this is a cool idea. And I'm like, she was like, well, why don't you just call them and ask them? Yeah, okay, probably should do that, right? Wisdom of a wife, right?
That's right. That's right. Thank God for
that. I'd still be flailing around somewhere, right? So, I called this guy I had lunch with. I'm like, hey, man, like, love the time together, love the conversation, but like, was this like a hypothetical conversation? Like, what are we talking about? He was like, no, man, we'd like you to be our youth family pastor at this campus. He was like, you're our number one. Wow. You're our number one choice. Like, we don't have a plan B if you don't say yes. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Yeah, man, let me pray about it and get back to you. And so hang up, and my wife's like, what'd he say? What'd he say? I was like, baby, they offered me a job. And she was like, well, what'd you say? I said, well, I told them I had to pray about it. She was like, why would you tell them that? This is what we've been praying about. I said, babe, I got scared. That's what Christian people say. I didn't know what to do, right?
That's great.
I mean, we knew the answer was yes, but I had a church stall, right?
Right. Yeah, for real.
Yeah. So, man, I ended up joining the staff of Cross Timbers Church at our Denton campus. But it was a really interesting scenario because as I came back, and I was talking about my pastor who was trick discipling me, when I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm moving to Haiti. He was like, no, you're not. I was like, okay. Because he had this whole job thing in mind that obviously I didn't know about yet, right?
Right.
So play all that out, and I did that job for about 2.5 years. And when the Lord had orchestrated a bunch of things, when I went back to him and said, hey, it's time for me to go to Haiti, he was like, all right, you're released. You can go now, right? And so it was just that whole time of preparation and being under his wing and being with other leaders and the church body, that even though the Lord had told me something, just because he told me something didn't mean I was supposed to do it right now, right?
Right, absolutely.
And so in that season of about that 2.5 years, so that was in the summer of 2010, and my family moved to Haiti in the summer of 2013. And so just taking, again, the Lord is so good. I joke, but this is very serious, that the Lord saved me from myself time and time again. And what I mean is, because I had the confidence that the Lord told me to do this, I almost put my family in a lot of reckless situations because I was like, oh, well, this opportunity's in Haiti, or this orphanage needs help, or this organization is hiring this, right? Well, just because those are opportunities doesn't mean those are opportunities for me, right? And so it took 2.5 years for that to play out until the Lord goes, okay, here's what you can do, and you can and you can step off into this now. So
yeah, absolutely.
So we hauled off to Haiti in August of 2013. We had some friends that were part of that early mission trip experience, that the Lord had given them a vision of. So young people, when they graduate high school in Haiti, the opportunities that exist for them are very small, right? So now in Haiti, it's even worse. I mean, we're 10 plus years removed from that, and it's way worse now. But so we had met Pastor Wawa. He's one of the most godly, amazing men that I know on the entire planet. And we had met him, and he said, my life is different because a missionary took me in and allowed me to be in his family, disciple me, give me an education, and which launched me to now be the president of one of the seminaries in Haiti, right? So my friends had this idea, hey, like some young Haitian guys can live in your house, you disciple them. We found some online college classes they could take. Perfect. We got it all figured out. We're going to save the world. Let's do it, right?
Right.
So off we go to Haiti. Me, I got obviously 4 kids now, but 3 kids at the time, and off we go. Get picked up. And I joke all the time, I could write a book on how not to be a missionary, under no circumstances should it play out the way it played out for me, but it did. And the Lord's been good through it. But, we went, and I wake up the next morning and have to go to the market and feed my family. Like, lost a little bit of weight. We were hungry. We were underfunded. But man, we had the confidence from the Lord that this is what we were doing. And so, played that over a few months, and man, it was just kind of a grind. We begin to see struggles in the Haitian education system that was not allowing these young men to succeed. We could get together and read the Bible and have a conversation, and they're like, oh, well, hey, what about this scripture in the Old Testament? Or what about this? Like, they're all over the place. But then when it came to like the academic side of taking our U.S. style education and say, hey, in college, they got like an intro to college class. It's about note taking and being on time and dressing professional and all the things that we really take for granted. You and I could do one of these lessons, and 30 minutes, an hour. It was taking these guys hours on end. Like, man, I don't get it, man. These guys are speaking 2, 3, 4 languages. You know, they graduated Haitian high school. Like, I know they're intelligent. Like, what's going on?
Right.
So I'm like looking at how they're taking notes, and they're just like, hey, I need another pen. I need another notebook. I'm like, dude, you've taken more notes than I did than all of high school and college. What are we doing? They're just word for word. And I just begin to realize, man, their education system is about memorization, not about digesting a concept and applying it and sharing that application, right? And so I'm just getting frustrated, and I'm telling my friends about it, and they're just like, no, give it time. My in-laws came and visited us, and you know, everybody has an interesting relationship with your in-laws, and then when you live in another country and your in-laws land in Haiti and your wife comes down with malaria, it just really adds on top, right? Like,
oh man.
So
yeah. Holy smokes.
So it was tough, man. You know, my father-in-law was not a believer at the time. He is now. We got to baptize him during COVID. So amen for that. And so, you know, just to have the dynamic of a non-believing father-in-law who's coming to see his daughter and his grandkids, he and I were super close prior to me saying, hey, I'm taking your kids to Haiti. And that really caused the divide. And the Lord has since repaired that since then. But they were like, hey, we're going to come. We want to see y'all. So they come, and my wife comes down with malaria day one. Thankfully, had met some friends, get her taken care of, no big deal. But it began to show some faults and some issues we were having. Thanksgiving's coming up, and our best friends come see us. And they packed their suitcase with all the things of American Thanksgiving, and we had a great time together. But before they left, they're like, y'all aren't right. Like, I'm not saying you're not supposed to be here. I'm not saying that what's happening is not good, but they were like, you guys aren't right. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know what to do with that. Like, I have a, you know, was it like, did I really hear the Lord, or did I just have some bad fried chicken, right? Like, what's, like, I had the confidence that this is what we were supposed to be doing, but like, now I'm second guessing it, right? So we get through November, and we get into early December, man. And man, I get in a bad way. Like, I'm covered head to toe in a rash. I mean, you're in the Caribbean, it could be anything, right? Like, this sucks, right? And
yeah.
And my wife and I were just talking. We're remembering what our best friends are saying, like, hey, you guys aren't right. You got to do something. I'm like, what are we supposed to do? And kind of leading up to this, like, I just told my wife, like, hey, like, things are going to get hard. You know, I'm reading all the missionary books and of culture shock and all these things. I'm like, we're going to push through, and we're going to grind out, because we're going to do hard things, and we're not going to be deterred by feelings, right?
Right.
And so we're going to push through. And finally, one day, I just look at my wife, and I was like, I don't know if I can push through, you know? And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, again, we are broke missionaries. We're shopping at the market every day. We're eating a very Haitian diet. Like, I mean, this is a new world for us. And I say, I think we got to call your parents and ask them if they can fly us home. And she's like, if that's what you want to do, of course I want to go see my parents for the holidays. So me as being the husband, you know, I tuck my tail, and I have to call my in-laws and say, hey, we're in a bad way. We have no money, but we need a break. You know, we've only been in country since August, and of course they would just receive us with love, and they're like, of course, no questions asked. Get a ticket. Get on the first plane you can. Get out of here, right?
Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool. We thank you. We get off the phone, and we book our ticket. And just look at my life, and I'm like, okay, I still don't feel great about it, right? Like, I'm like, I failed,
yeah.
Right?
Right. Yes, I understand that.
And so, man, we hang up and book our tickets, go to bed, don't think anything of it, man. And I wake up the next morning, and my rash is gone. And man, I just believe in spiritual warfare. It was just that pride that I'm like, I'm gonna pull myself up by the bootstraps, and I'm gonna do it. And because someone told me in a book that I should just push through, that I should, regardless of my kids, regardless of my wife. And two, honestly, a lot of this was like, I didn't want to fail our supporters. I didn't want to show my father-in-law that I couldn't do this. And just
Right.
all those things. I mean, I woke up, it was gone. Like, I think it was a submission of that pride, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we ended up going, we planned on our trip to go back to the States, and, we had, there's not a whole lot of white faces in Haiti, right? And so I ran into a guy on the street, and we just started talking, and they were missionaries with Hands and Feet Project, and they had some young kids, so we got together a couple times for dinner in that December, and I called them and say, hey, guys, we're in a bad way. We're gonna go take a break. Would you guys watch our dog? We had a big Mastiff. That was our security, right?
Yeah.
That was our dog Murph, man. That was my kid's baby. And so I said, hey, will you guys keep Murph? We're gonna go take a little break and see what the Lord has, and if we come back, we'll get Murph. If not, we'll call you, and you guys can keep him, give him away, whatever you want to do. And they say, hey, since you're going back to the States, we've actually told the Hands and Feet Project about you guys, and we think it'd be wise for you guys to talk to them, and we think we could use your help. And so go back to the States and kind of have a conversation with our friends and say, hey, this isn't working for us. Explore some opportunities with Hands and Feet Project. And so in January of 2014, my wife and family and I, we left the town of Tiguave is where we started. On a good day, way back in the day, it was about 2 hours from Port-au-Prince, about 30-something miles. And we moved over to the town next to us called Curnutt, Haiti, and joined the Hands and Feet Project. And then spent the next 3+ years with them, serving, hosting teams, doing job creation, and working with the youth that were, aging out of the orphanage system, and trying to see what life was going to be for them in Haiti as they finish high school and leave an orphanage setting.
Right, man. And so 2014,
2014
right?
to 2017, doing the Haiti thing. Come 27, there were some things going on in the organization. Not bad. It was just like, man, is this how we want to play out and moving forward and things like that? We were having a lot of struggles with some educational things with some of my kids. We didn't realize that some of these struggles were dyslexic. Well, if they're dyslexic and we're not giving them the tools, homeschool's going to be a nightmare, right? Well, we didn't know what was going on,
right?
And so there was just some of those things where, like, okay, I think we've served well. I think we've served done. I think our time here is done. Let's explore what life might be back in America, which was really terrifying. It wasn't that we wanted to leave Haiti. There was just some of those education things with our family that were like, man, should it really be this tough to do these things, right? And so
right.
in 2017, we made the decision to leave Haiti. It's funny, man, leaving Haiti was harder than going.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, just the fact of, like, as you think about things in your life, when that time you decide to follow the Lord, the time you decide, hey, man, this woman's going to be my wife, and things like that. Like, that was the level of confidence I had when I said we were going to Haiti, and now I'm going, hey, we're leaving. And there wasn't this sense of shame or failure or anything. It was just like, okay, this door is closing. And that was really tough. And so we just kind of opened the map up, pulled up the job boards, and we're like, hey, Lord, we'll move wherever you want us to go. And the Lord landed us in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. I got to serve as the missions pastor at Beach Church there. Did that for a few years. Just a wonderful experience with wonderful people. And obviously it was a beautiful town, beautiful community, because that's where we find ourselves here today through a lot of years and different turns and twists. But yeah, the Lord was really gracious to put us in a great community, going from the Caribbean and Haiti. I will get to tomorrow, kind of Caribbean lifestyle, to come to a beach setting, even here in America, was really gracious. I joke that the beach is the ultimate equalizer. You're at the beach and I'm like, is the guy I'm standing next to homeless or a millionaire? I'm not really sure. So it was right. Okay. So it was a really good transition for my family back to America and get settled here. And then just through some things with church and family, we ended up going back to Texas, where all this started in 2019, at the end of 2019, honestly, right before COVID. And went through COVID and did all the things of COVID. And then through that COVID process, some of the Hands and Feet Project people reached back out. I wouldn't say I lost touch with Haiti for a few years, always involved in a local church, whether serving or in a vocational capacity. And they just reached out and they were like, "Hey, could you help us with some projects?" And whether that we really explored the anti-trafficking world for a number of years, immigration issues, building projects, all sorts of things. Just special projects, man. How can I take my experience, my language, my heart for the Lord, my heart for young people, and help them from the States? And so kind of do that in a part-time capacity, doing part-time church, part-time construction world, and really just did that for the past, since 2019. And then the beginning of this year, had some conversations with the Hands and Feet Project. They said, "Hey, why don't you jump into our planning meeting for the year?" And I kind of joke. Will was there and the whole crew of us getting started. And we're talking about these things. And I'm like, "Hey, we keep talking about this one position. Like, who's doing that?" And they were like, "Oh, you are." And so here I am. So here I am today as the Haiti Director of Hands and Feet Project. We've got an amazing team. Scattered across. We've got a lot of people in Tennessee. Some of us are here in Florida, and obviously the bulk of our team is in Haiti. We've got over 170 staff there, and doing a lot of great things there. It's we get a little numb to it about how difficult it is to work there, but then at the same time, I just realized that I don't have to lay my head down there to go to sleep and just to wake up every day and say, "Hey, my staff does." And so what do we get to do? What do we get to do today for them and the communities that they're working in?
Right. Wow, man. There's so much to unpack there.
That was a lot. We did a lot of years in there.
You did a lot of years in there. Absolutely. So I actually want to get into Haiti. Okay. Right. I want to get into the Hands and Feet Project, but I want to explore something that really kind of stood out to me at the beginning of your testimony that you gave. And that was this sense of it was.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
It was somebody else's story. You were just going to church. Mm-hmm. You were just doing all this stuff because it was what you were supposed to do, right? There's this thing that I think J. Warner Wallace put it best in his book Cold Case Christianity, about you have to go from believing that to believing in, right? A lot of us, of course, you grew up in Texas or whatever, or you were in Texas and in Florida and stuff. I grew up in the Bible Belt, right? There's a lot of people believe that God exists. A lot of
course,
people,
everybody does.
Right? There's right. There's a big difference between believing that and then believing in, right? And I talk to a lot of men that fit that same scenario, right? They go to church, they do, they do the church thing. They make sure their families are there. It's just something that they do, right? But there's something so powerful when that transition happens of, okay, you were talking about that in your journal, you wrote whether it's Haiti, whether it's Dayton, wherever it is, anywhere in between.
Haiti or anywhere in between. Yeah.
Right. The answer is yes, just to whatever question it is. Right. And really that's the exact same thing that God is expecting from all of us. Right. Not all of us end up in Haiti. Right. It's not for everybody. But that same answer, yes, is what God is looking for. Right. In all of us. And that's something so powerful. And I hope that men really grasp a hold of that, right? Because we may not know, you may be 50 years old and you're like, Lord, what am I doing in my life, right?
I joke all the time. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Right? Right? Absolutely. And hopefully, we can understand that's all that God's looking for. Right. He's looking for, yes, Lord, whatever that is, whatever the question is, the answer is yes. And the Bible is riddled with historical figures that did the same thing. right? Some of our favorite, Noah, David, right? The answer goes, it goes on and on. Peter, Paul. That's it. Just being submissive to the Lord, be like, Lord, whatever this looks like. And I think that it's phenomenal that when you got there was peace.
Oh, 100%.
Right. I think sometimes people are afraid to say yes because they're afraid they're going to end up in Haiti. Right. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not the way God works. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever talked to anybody like that?
If I say yes, what happens? Right.
Yeah. Am I going to end up in Haiti? Am I going to end up in Africa? Somewhere that I'm terrified of being, or don't want to be, or whatever it is. It's like, that's not really the way God works.
Well, and I think some of that now too is like, what if your yes is to walk across the street?
That's right.
And
that's exactly
right.
And
as I've spent time in a couple of churches in a missions pastor type position. I love the idea of global missions and what that means in the sense of a global and biblical mindset and framework for life, right?
Let's go.
But that does not change the fact that I should love my actual neighbor, right? Like the person next door, right? So it's the and in both. And so, as I was talking like earlier, man, I grew up like that Christianity and being a follower of Jesus was in my head. I knew it was right. It took, the Lord used Haiti to put it in my heart. And then it went from my heart to my hands. Then some people are like, hey, they have this really high emotional experience and they're full, their heart is full, but then it needs to go to their head and then their hands, right? Or some people, for me, in a serving situation in a church setting, people would say, hey, hey, this serving project's coming up. Can I bring a non-believing friend? Of course you can, right? What better opportunity for them to get their hands dirty in the work of the Lord, being surrounded by other believers, right? Now, I'm not going to give them the Bible and say, hey, can you preach out of Leviticus for us, right? But let's get them in the setting. Let's get their hands dirty and see what the Lord wants to do in their head and their heart, right?
That's right. That's good. That's good, man. And then so here you are several years later, right? In 2025, the director over Haiti, still directly involved, obviously, all of that stuff. What kind of a toll, right, did that have on your family, right? It could not have been easy, right? Your wife must be a saint. I'm
not going to argue that.
And right. If it's too personal, then that's fine. We don't have to, but I want people to understand that oftentimes, no matter what it is, when the Lord calls us to do something, it will be outside of our comfort zone. It will be outside of, right? It's going to be bigger than we are, which means that there's going to be sacrifices by a lot of different people, right? Including now, you know me, I've been married for 23 years. I have 6 kids, right? And even in that, my wife and children in ministry, first off, they're my first priority, right? Always, but still, yet when ministry comes, that there are sacrifices that have to be made. If I have to go speak, or even just podcasting, right? Stuff inside the church. She may have to take the kids to the ball game. She may have to, by herself because dad's doing this, or, I serve in a lot of different capacities and stuff like that. And what I'm trying to get at is there's always sacrifices, right? And like your wife, my wife is a saint, right? She's absolutely amazing. I could not be who I am today without her. And I'm so thankful. She's my greatest gift that God has ever given me. And but if you don't care, just real quick, just kind of elaborate what kind of sacrifices were there through, obviously, I guess you adopted another child while you were in Haiti.
We did not
right?
know he is African American, so a lot of people people assume he's from Haiti. He's not. He's from Central Florida. He's our little ball of joy. And so, man, it's really interesting because as I think about my kids growing up in Haiti, I wouldn't change it for the world. Now, did they have, thank the Lord, my wife was the homeschool. That was not me. And what some people say they suffered educationally, and I don't mean that as a knock on my wife. I'm just saying it's not the American school system, right? But as I look back at my kid's childhood, it's funny. My son my 15-year-old son grew up in Haiti, looking like baby Tarzan. He didn't wear shoes. He only wore shorts, no shirt, and had long hair to his shoulders. And to this day, all my staff and our old friends say, hey, does Beckett wear clothes now? I'm like, yeah, he's 15. He goes to school. He wears clothes now.
But that's great.
But that's just like how they remember him, right? And so, like in the sense of there's no sacrifice in that. Like how my kids grew up, I would not change that for the world. Like running, playing with the goats, and we have a dear family that was our neighbor. They weren't, I wouldn't call them street kids. They had a mom, they had a dad, they lived in a home, but they're the ascension. They are the essence of poverty. And I'll never forget my kids multiple times. Come in, run to the house, grab a whole bunch of crackers, and they're running out. I'm like, where y'all going? And they're like, see you later, right? What are they doing? They're taking our food and going to hang out with their friends, right, on the street, give everybody a snack, right? So it's like I wouldn't call that a sacrifice. It's just a different way of living, right? And they got to experience this thing.
100%.
And even my daughter, and she's 15 now, and she said this last night. She was like, Dad, when do I get to go home? And so, again, we just moved. So I'm thinking she's thinking we're in Florida. She's thinking I think she's about Texas, and she was talking about Haiti, right? And I'm like, you can't go right now. Wow. You can't go right now, baby. That's you can't do that. Right. And so she jokes that like she's adopted. She's European as can get. The Caribbean sun is not well for her skin, but she considers that home. And so don't consider that a sacrifice. I would say the greatest sacrifice.
No, absolutely.
And really it was my wife shedding light on this. So some of this is personality as somebody that's a people person, as we hosted teams and someone that lived within, I say isolation, I just mean the isolation of Americans and speaking English and things like that, right? As we would host teams, I've got friends all over the nation, all over the world, because I've met people from all over the place, right? So we have teams that come in, and I had a really, really hard time separating the end of the workday. Like, hey, they're fine, they're safe, everybody's fed, let's go to bed, let me be with my family. And so I mean, I would work 8 days a week, 30 hours a day. Right. And with my blinders on, I'm going, well, there's nothing wrong with it because my wife and my kids are with me because we cohabitated. Yes. We lived where we worked where we played. Everything was together. Right. Mm-hmm. So it was really interesting that as my wife brought that on and really seeing that in our kids, there's a difference between being around and versus being with. That as we stepped back into America, especially stepping back into America in an American church setting, I set up some really hard lines. Like, I got to kind of like correct, I got to right the ship a little bit to make sure that I didn't burn any bridges, right? And my kids are great, and the Lord is good. But had I continued on that path, especially as they get into their teenage years, right? Just that cohabitation could have been really destructive.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and I mean, and I think that's ministry, right? In general, I mean, I've had to do the same thing, even here, right? I was a children's pastor for a while and stuff like that, and it's so easy just to, I mean, I'm pastoring, I'm doing, and even now I do so much ministry. I do ministry 4 or 5 times a week, and work 40-50 hours a week and, everything else. And having to set up those boundaries like you say, my wife and my kids, they need me.
Right. That's our first ministry, right?
They need me to be present. Right. Yes. That is my first ministry. If that goes, if I save the world and lose my family, then I've lost.
100%.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And so that's good that you understood.
Or my wife did.
Okay. So yeah. And that's normally how it comes, right? That conversation of, hey, we need you. Right. That's how it comes for me. My wife was like, hey, we need you here. Like, I need help. Your kids need you. You're going to help raise these kids. Right. And just to be able, and I make it sound like my wife is absolutely amazing. Right. She really is. And I don't make it sound like she's hard, but she's also very wise and she knows how to handle me. And if she's not just really blunt with me, I don't read cues very well, right?
Little slap upside of the back of the head never hurts.
Me, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so, but we've all needed those. And I think anybody who's ever been in ministry, because you can get lost in it, right? I remember whenever I left pastoring, children's pastoring, and the guy was coming up, and it was a mutual thing and stuff. And I told him, I said, the one thing that you need to learn that I would give anybody advice that was going into a pastoring position, just understand that you don't get pastored, right? You have to, your relationship with Jesus is strictly between you and him, right? That doesn't happen while you're ministering. Like it doesn't just overflow, right? You have to be intentional. You still have to be intentional about those things. And those are hard lessons to learn.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Right. One, they kick you in the seat of the pants, and they're always come from a place of, I now feel like a failure because I let something slide, and I have to learn the lesson the hard way because I'm an idiot, right? Or it is for me, anyways. You know what I mean?
I got to learn the hard way, so I actually learn
stuff, and so yeah, that's exactly right. And I always end up learning the hard way. I don't, you'd think eventually I'd learn, but I don't, and so. But Sean, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time. I truly appreciate it. But before we land this plane, I want you to give everybody an opportunity, if they can.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl, and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Give to Hands and Feet Project. Maybe somebody wants to get involved with the Hands and Feet Project, whatever it is. And then before you kind of get into that, if you feel like you need to give a word, right? Maybe somebody's being drawn into being a missionary. Maybe somebody, maybe you just have a word for men. I want to just give it open to you, an opening, and then kind of go into how they can get in touch with the Hands and Feet Project.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I kind of hit on this earlier. I actually was having a conversation with a local church earlier this week, and we were talking about the idea of sending missionaries and what that looks like, and making sure missionaries get with the right organization in the right country and doing the right jobs and all the things. And I said, well, like, what are some of the requirements that you're having people doing? And they're in life group and they're giving and all the things. And I was like, hey, it's kind of a stupid question, but I would assume that serving either in the local church or the local community is a requirement. And they were like, yeah, it's like number one. I said, all right, great. It's a great place to start. And so I bring that up just to say, like, hey, us as men, like, what are we doing outside the confines of our home and our job? And, and I know a lot of guys in white collar jobs, especially blue collar too, like, man, you're punching hours to make it happen. Right.
Right.
But where has the Lord put you that he's only put you? And it was really cool when I left Haiti and I found myself in an American church setting, in a great church setting. And now I'm in a really affluent area, and I'm really struggling. I'm grieving Haiti. I'm remembering, I have a little brother there, and I just think about his losses and his family and their hurt and their daily grind to survive. And I'm looking at a $3 million beach home. And I'm like, Lord, like, what am I missing here? This is, and, you know, I was leaving Haiti. The Lord kind of planted me in Matthew in the Sermon on the Mount. And man, I was there for a long time. And it just came with a lot of comfort and not just comfort, but it also gave me, and I don't like to use this word platform, but it was a little bit of the platform which the Lord gave me as he put me in my new role within the church. And depending on your translation, you know, where we talk about salt and light, everybody uses it, you know, no one, if you've been in church any time, you've heard a million messages about it. But the translation while I was reading it, it said, you're like a city set on a hill, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just got this sense of peace, even though I was grieving Haiti, even though I know it was the right time to leave for my family, that didn't mean that I didn't miss it, that there wasn't this sense of for myself and my family to be like, man, that place has our heart because the Lord put it there. But to go like, the Lord's like, hey, I set you here. And how that moved forward was that became my cry to our people. Like, hey, I don't work in the corporate office. I don't go hang out at the water cooler. But you and Steve in marketing do, right? And you know what? Steve's marriage is probably in shambles. But I'm never going to meet Steve, right? But you're there. And so where is that? Where has the Lord set you on what hill? And how can you leverage that for the kingdom, right? Amen. You know, like, you know, I'm responsible for serving at my church. And it's, you know, I always joke, I'm like, man, I'm a terrible serve pastor. I would tell people, if you never served at our church, but I know that the community has a Jesus-loving T-ball coach, and you're the best T-ball coach in the entire town, I hope you never serve at our church. Because think of the impact that you're having in the community with families and kids that might not have a relationship or connection to the Lord, right? And so for me, and man, I can still do it today. I still serve in Haiti, right? But I have to catch myself to go, hey man, what am I stepping over? Who am I stepping over? Because I think I'm doing this other thing that's holier, right?
Right. Yes. Man, that's good. That's good. And that's spot on. That's spot on. And so let's transition into the Hands and Feet project. How can people get involved? Tell us, you know, as we land this plane, how can people connect with it? All that good stuff.
Well, let me do it this way. So I want to give you the kind of main three buckets for which we work. And the reason I want to do that is, one, it'll give a little bit context into who we are as an organization now and how we're working. But I'm a big believer of, you know, a lot of times people get guilted into who and where they're serving with, right? Because they're like, oh, I learned about this. That's really sad. I want to help that. Man, if you're serving with, you know, a ministry feeding the homeless, or you're serving building homes in Taiwan, I want you to be doing that because you're passionate about it, right? And like you're driven and you love it, right? And so for me, it's like, man, Haiti needs help. Hands and Feet Project needs supporters, right? But if this is not where the Lord has planted you a passion about kids and the people of Haiti, I hope you find somewhere else to serve and give and get connected to, right? And so we've been serving in Haiti for 20 plus years. You know, I'm going on, 15 plus years in varying capacities, full-time, part-time, just exploring all the things. And so traditionally, Hands and Feet Project started, as many organizations have around the world, as an orphanage setting. And you play that forward for what we've learned through child psychology and the well-being of children and things like that. An orphanage setting is not how God designed the family, right? And so there are needs. There are needs. And I'm going to be honest, man, Haiti is a dark and hard place right now. And our gates get knocked on weekly with abandonment cases and issues of need, but that is not God's intent, right? And so first and foremost, man, we want families to stay together. We want the family unit to stay intact. However, that's not always the possibility through a lot of darkness that happens around the world, right? So one of our projects is providing families, and that is where kids still live in a residential orphanage setting. Now, we have homes set up, and they live, you know, with house moms and, you know, communal dining and study spaces and computer labs, and go to school in the community and soccer and churches and all the things, right?
Right.
So it's the best of a bad situation, right? And so
Right.
we get to provide
Amen.
a home and a family setting for kids that have lost that, right? Now, with that,
Yes.
are we working towards reunification, whether it be biological parents, biological families, foster situations, extended family, anything like that? Yes, we are. And we have staff that are doing that day in and day out. But the need is still there, and so we are still working to provide for kids in a home setting, but also, God willing, that they can be reunified with a traditional home back in their community, right? So that's our providing families
Yes.
project. Then we have preserving families, and so then we have a waiting list a mile long for families trying to join our Stronger Together program. And what that is, man, at its core, kids are able to get their school tuition paid. Most schools in Haiti would be considered private. So you think that's funny that, we're in the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and families are still having to pay to send their kids to school. And so education is this, it's the golden ticket, in theory, but also in life, right? Like they hold so much pride and passion for their kids and the opportunity to go to school. Like today, I'm getting pictures on my phone now that we've got a daycare program and they're doing a graduation for 3-year-olds. The elaborate setup and party they're throwing, I laughed, and it just brought me so much joy that I was like, we would never do that in America because we don't hold the education and that value of like, this might be our kids' chance out, right? And so in our Stronger Together program, kids get the opportunity. Their tuition is paid. Now the family has some participation in it, right? Like, hey, we're going to pay for school, but hey, we want you to make sure that you're doing the daily snack or something like that. Like we want them to participate, right? Another big piece of that is they get a meal. So each family is designated one meal per kid per day, and they get that in like a bulk setting. And so every month we do a food distribution for those families in our program. They get to come pick that up, and so that way, at minimum, those kids are receiving some nutrition. And then beyond that, just on a relational level, we have social workers that work day in, day out with those families, staying, hey, how's it going? Or is any job activity happening? Or how are the relational dynamics? Hey, kids are going to school, kids are getting older. Regardless of the country, teenagers are hard, right? So like we've got social workers in these families' lives, right? Like engaging with them, checking on them, seeing, are we progressing? Are we digressing? Like where are we in the system of life? And then two, it allows them access for emergency medical care because they can come and say, hey man, we've got an appendix issue, or we've got any medical need. They can come to our social worker and say, hey, this is arising. What can we get some support in this? And so they can do that. And then our last one is empowering communities. And this is a fun one for me. It's a little bit of an open canvas because it's more of a community development mindset. And so we have staff members. So much of what our projects are our kids looking at within our care. And then our kids that we're looking at within the community program. Well, now I have some staff and I'm just look out. What's going on in the community that's awesome, that needs a leg up? What's going on in the community that could be awesome and they don't have a leg to stand on, right? Like where can we participate in what's going on in the community to make the community a better place? And so it's a blank canvas. We get asked all the time, from pastor conferences to youth conferences to agriculture programs to all sorts of stuff. So that's really fun. A couple of things we're doing out of that are active programs. We've got a daycare program. We currently have 5 daycares. Hopefully to expand that. At least we'll be adding 2 before the year over, maybe 4. We're waiting to see what the Lord has. And then the cool thing with that is, so think 3 months to 3 years. So in Haiti, schools typically start about 3 to 4. And so this gives kids the opportunity to come into a daycare setting. And how we do it a little bit different. One of the parents has to have an income producing activity. And the reason we do that is because we want to support those that are already trying to support themselves, right?
Right.
So we say, hey, we notice your effort. We see you. We want to honor that by blessing your kid, right? So they come into our daycare program. It's Montessori style, which is very different Haitian culture. So they're getting hands-on activity, play, manipulation, and all those things. And beyond that, especially within the Haitian culture, they're getting a protein-packed meal every day. And so that's starting those formative years from 3 months to 3 years. Protein in their diet, love hearing about Jesus, having a good time, and setting them up for success as they go into elementary school. We've had our first, round of graduations and parents putting their kids in pre-K and school and going, hey man, like my kid's doing well. Right. So that's exciting. And we've got another project we'll be kicking off soon. Again, we've got a staff member that's just really passionate about doing things different. And we're starting a cassava project. And so think of like a tortilla. And so we're using some of our young adults that have aged out of an orphanage setting and are living in an independent way, but still need work opportunities and things like that. And so we've got a little a pilot project going where they're going to be making cassava from cassava root, kind of turning in this bread tortilla thing, and got this whole plan to sell it and scale it and see what happens. So that's another idea in our Powering Communities project too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. You guys got a lot going on.
I mean, yeah, too. I mean, we do. It's like one of those things. Like everybody's like, "What do you do?" Well, those are the three things we do. Everybody's like, "Hey, do you build houses?" No, we don't. But am I building a house in a couple weeks? We are. Right. So it's right. Like, hey, do you do water projects? We don't dig water wells. But if I got water filters, we're going to put them in the hands of our social workers, and we're going to get them in families in need, right? And so we're just trying to see what resources can the Lord give us, and we can funnel them out through us into the hands of the people that need it. And the beauty of it too is like we're not relying on Americans to do this. Yes, we have American staff, and yes, myself and other members on our team are in Haiti and working with our Haitian team. But this is done by Haitians who love the Lord, love their community, and want to see their country rise above what it is now.
Praise
Amen.
the Lord.
And I always say, man, like I pray this to the Lord all the time. Hey, when you're done with me in Haiti, I pray that a Haitian takes my job, and I trust that the fact that like I've stewarded my time well, and that he can give that to a Haitian. It's their country, and it's time to move on. And when it's time for me to release, he's going to bless me that, and I can go do something else.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's say somebody just heard your spill, right? Heard about all this stuff, and they're like, man, I just want to get involved. Right. I just feel the need. I feel the call. I feel, maybe there's a young person that, whatever there is. How do they do that?
So let's hop on the website. I think you said you're going to put the website in the show notes, handsandfeetproject.org.
Yes.
We've got a contact form on there. Go there. Say, hey, I heard this crazy guy, Sean, on the podcast. They'll send it to me and be like, hey, good luck. You figure it out. We can connect. We can talk. We've got all the social media, Facebook, Instagram. We'll get you those things. But yeah, I would say I'm a relational guy. And so as someone is stirring with themselves in regards to, hey, I feel like I want to get connected in Haiti, or more so, hey, I want to get connected in the global church, in the global mission scene, and you're just not sure what to do with that, reach out. It's a personal passion apart from my work, apart from the local church, that I just love connecting with people, that their eyes are being opened to what the Lord is doing outside of America.
Right. Praise the Lord. Man, Sean, this has been phenomenal. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your willingness to come on here. And I know that the people who will hear this will be blessed by it. And thank you so much. Thank you for your work and your willingness to say yes there in Haiti. I pray blessings on you and your family and your ministry and all of those. And so as we land this plane, those of you who are listening, I want to encourage you guys, it's not always mission work. It's yes, right. It's Lord, whatever it is you have for me, the answer is yes. Right. I'm just going to be obedient. I'm just going to surrender myself. Right. Philippians chapter 2 talks about Jesus doing the exact same thing. He didn't, consider his godliness, his equality with God to be exploited. He humbled himself, right? This is what we're called to do. We're called to follow Jesus. Jesus is our example of masculinity. And so I want to encourage you guys. It may not be Haiti, but it may be your neighbor. And it may be that guy at work, it may be that guy that's sitting on the excavator. It may be your boss. It may be whoever it is that needs you there, that needs your yes. And so I really want to encourage you guys. I just challenge you. Just say yes, Lord. What is it? Just help me answer the question that you're asking. Right, Sean? I thought that was so well.
I want to challenge some guys. It might be their wife or their kids.
At 100%.
Maybe the Lord's calling them to start at home.
Yes, Absolutely. Well, and it does, and you're absolutely right. That's where it always starts is our home, and so guys, I know that the Lord is for you. He loves you. He wants to see you succeed. Not only as a man, as a husband, as a father, He wants to see you succeed in life, and so as always, I want to end in a prayer. Holy Spirit, teach us to be leaders of our homes, of our communities, and of our churches, and teach us to be godly, courageous men. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen.
You've been listening to Real Men Talk. If you'd like to get in touch with us, shoot us an email, realmen@palaceofpraise.com, or visit our website at realmenministries.us. You can also message us through social media. If you're a man age 16 and up and would like to be a part of the conversation, join us at the Palace of Praise every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. If you don't have a home church, consider joining us for worship on Sundays at 10:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. Palace of Praise is located at 1400 Herschel Best Boulevard in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. New episodes of Real Men Talk drop every Thursday at 5 p.m. on all major podcast platforms. You can also find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, X, and Facebook. Real Men Talk is a production of Real Men Studios in cooperation with Palace Media Services.